Hey everyone, want to give you a quick update of what's been happening here at the 180 House over the summer. It's crazy to think about that the summer is almost over and we're about to start our third school year here at the 180 House. Before I forget, we're going to have a 2-year anniversary or birthday party for the 180 House to celebrate all that has been happening here in the last few years. That's going to be on August 31st. So if you could save the date, we'd love to thank you in person to celebrate the successes of what God has been doing here through your prayers and support of this ministry. To start things off, huge answer to prayer is our ministry leadership team is continuing to grow. So thank you so much for your prayers and support in that way. We have about a dozen amazing humans that come and hang out with these kids here at the 180 House, build relationships with them here or over at the high school on campus on a weekly basis. So that's been really, really great to see that continue to grow. We're still not to where we want to be as far as a 1-to-5 relationship with the kids, but it's getting there and it's growing. Something else that's been going on here this summer is we are working with a partnership with an organization in Jaco Beach, Costa Rica. They have a place down there called Casa Fe, which is House of Faith. And they're doing the same thing we're doing. They're loving on teenagers through board sports and giving them a safe place to come and build relationships with adult leaders that just want to love on them and show them the love of Christ. So we're looking at taking a trip with some of our teens here that have made choices to follow Christ and are in discipleship and are plugged into a church, and take them down there to Jaco to serve down there as a missions trip. So we're looking at doing that over spring break and helping our kids see what serving Christ looks like on a worldwide basis. Probably the biggest thing that happens over the summer for Youth for Christ is YFC Camp. And this year we took 32 students from Sarasota and Venice to North Bay, Maryland. And this was a lot of firsts for a lot of the students. Some had never been to camp, some had never been tubing, on zip lines, all kinds of like high ropes courses, and most importantly is building relationships that are beyond ordinary. They go deeper, and these kids get to hear the gospel preached in such a real way through people's lives and their stories, and get to connect with them. Some great conversations happen in cabin time after the presentation of the gospel and after these relationships have been built, and we get to grow with them through this process. This year was exciting because we had multiple students say yes to Jesus for the first time, which is incredible. But some of the biggest things, I think, was these students understanding what it means to actually follow Christ, and the cost that they have to count in order to put themselves and the world behind them to follow Jesus and to be real. So please be continuing to pray that some of these students that have heard the gospel, they want to follow, that they really get plugged into a local church, that they can be discipled, that those disciple makers available to be able to pour into their life, and that their heart would just still continue to be soft to be formed by God. When we came back from camp, we got to have a reunion dinner at the 180 House with all the students that went, and it was a really good time of fellowship and these kids really recognizing that we're brothers and sisters in Christ, and this is a family, and this is unique in our culture right now. And following Christ is probably one of the most radical things you can do. So please continue praying for these kids that they would just get more plugged in and continue to work on their spiritual formation. Last bit of really exciting news. I shared last video that we purchased the 180 House here in Venice, and it was all through your support and your giving and your donations and prayers to make that happen. So we thank you so much for that, and none of this would be here without you. What also is exciting is Youth for Christ has seen this model of ministry to be successful, and so we're actually opening up a 180 House in Sarasota, a half a mile from their high school, and also one up in Bradenton as well. And so We would love your continued prayers and support, that we would continue to grow, and not just wider but deeper, that some of the infrastructure and the volunteers and the ministry that's already happening there would just be able to blow up, giving them a place to come after school to really grow deeper in their relationships. Thank you guys so much. You're amazing. Stay tuned for more details next month.